When Jesus stood before the crowd on the hill that day, his voice rose gently into the air, piercing both silence and pride. They came to hear about justice, about vengeance, about how to defeat those who had wronged them. They expected fire. Instead, they heard, "Love your enemies. Bless those who curse you. Do good to those who hate you." The crowd murmured. Some laughed. Some clenched their jaws. To the world, love is reserved for the worthy. Forgiveness is optional. And enemies deserve punishment. But Jesus flipped the script. He wasn't just preaching mercy, he was igniting a revolution of mercy. And 2,000 years later, this teaching still divides rooms and changes lives. Love your enemies. Jesus wasn't asking us to like them. He wasn't asking us to pretend the hurt never happened. He was inviting us into something supernatural. To love an enemy means, you refuse to return hate for hate. You release the desire for revenge. You see the other not as a monster, but as a soul in need of grace. This love is not emotion. It is choice. A holy rebellion against bitterness. And when practiced, it is one of the most liberating forces on earth. In the year 107 AD, a Roman centurion named Lucius was stationed in Ephesus. He had dragged countless Christians to their deaths, men, women, even children. One evening, his own son fell ill. Doctors failed. Temples offered no answers. Lucius, desperate, knocked on the door of a Christian home. The family of a man he had once arrested. The woman opened the door. Their eyes met. She recognized him. And then she let him in. She gave him water. Bandaged his hands. Prayed over his child. When asked why, she whispered, "Because Christ said to love our enemies. And you were mine." Lucius dropped to his knees. That night, he met two healers, the woman, and the Savior she followed. Because it's not natural. Our instincts say, fight back. Get even. Make them pay. But Jesus offers a better way. When you hold hatred, it chains your soul to the one who wronged you. When you curse them, you become like them. When you forgive, you rise above. Jesus knew this love would cost. He would later prove it, by praying for the very men nailing him to a cross. "Father, forgive them." If he could love in agony, what excuse do we have? Neurologists and psychologists now echo what Jesus said centuries ago. Studies show people who practice forgiveness have lower blood pressure, less anxiety, and live longer. Harboring resentment triggers chronic stress, affects immunity, and deteriorates brain health. In other words, forgiveness isn't just spiritual. It's also biological. Jesus wasn't giving us an impossible burden, he was giving us a path to freedom. In 1993, a young man named O'Shea Israel shot and killed Mary Johnson's only son during a gang fight. Mary was consumed by hate. For 12 years, it boiled inside her. Then one day, she visited O'Shea in prison. And she forgave him. Today, they live as neighbors. They speak at events together. Mary calls him her spiritual son. Forgiving him, she said, freed me from a prison I had built inside my own soul. This is the power Jesus spoke of. The kind of love that rebuilds ruined hearts. Think of the person who wronged you most. The betrayal. The lies. The abandonment. The violence. Now imagine this. You no longer replay the pain. You no longer curse their name. You no longer carry them into every relationship. That's what Jesus offers. Not forgetfulness, but release. Forgiveness does not mean what they did was okay. It means you're no longer letting it define your peace. They don't. That's the point. Forgiveness is not earned. It is given. Jesus didn't say, love your enemies, if they apologize. He said, pray for them. Why? Because prayer changes you. You may never reconcile. But you can be free. If you're still reading, this may not be coincidence. Maybe heaven is asking, will you dare to do what few can? Will you forgive the parent who abandoned you, the spouse who betrayed you, the friend who lied? The enemy who hurt you? It won't be easy. But it will be holy. Speak their name aloud. Not with hate, but with intention. Pray, God, help me to see them how you see them. Write them a letter. You don't have to send it. Just empty your heart. Release the right to revenge. Lay it down. God will carry what you can't. Repeat. Forgiveness is a journey, not a one-time act. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. Luke 6 verse 36. To love your enemy is not weakness. It's the most radical, defiant, powerful act of Christ-like courage. And it will change not just your life, but possibly even theirs. Imagine a world where those who seek status are left behind, and those who serve in silence are raised up. That's the world Jesus described. His teaching in Matthew 20 verse 16 isn't a metaphor, it's a blueprint for a new way to live. In the kingdom of God, the rich are not always the most honored. The loudest aren't always the wisest. And the most powerful are often those who kneel, not rule. Jesus wasn't offering a theory, he was offering a reversal of how we measure value. In Matthew 20, Jesus tells a story about a landowner who hires workers at different hours of the day. Some worked all day. Others just 1 hour. At the end, everyone gets paid the same. Those who worked longer complain, it's not fair. But the landowner replies, am I not allowed to do what I choose with what belongs to me? Or are you envious because I am generous? This parable flips everything. Grace, not effort, defines worth. God's generosity isn't based on what we deserve, but who He is. While Roman rulers crushed with iron fists, Jesus washed His disciples' feet. He told them, whoever wants to be great among you must be your servant. Matthew 20 verse 26, to the world, that sounds weak. To heaven, it's divine strategy. Because when power is used to lift others, it transforms more than just systems, it heals hearts. After the 1994 genocide in Rwanda, where over 800,000 were slaughtered, the country faced impossible pain. But one story stands out, a woman whose entire family was killed by a neighbor later stood before him in court. He confessed. Instead of vengeance, she said, you may rebuild what you destroyed, starting with my house. And my heart. He wept. Today, they live in the same village. He calls her mother. She calls him son. This is the power of being last, choosing mercy when you could choose revenge. The world says, Jesus says, climb higher, go lower, be seen, be faithful in secret, win at all costs, lose your life to find it, get even, turn the other cheek, take control, surrender to God. Success in the kingdom is not about status, but about spirit. In 2015, a successful tech CEO shocked the world. He sold his company, gave away 99% of his wealth, and moved to serve in an underfunded school in Africa. When asked why, he said, because I was first in everything, money, fame, attention. But I was last in peace. Now, he teaches math to children who never held a pencil before. And he smiles more than ever. Because being last in the world, brought him first in joy. Imagine, instead of competing, you collaborate. Instead of chasing applause, you chase purpose. Instead of seeking your name in lights, you write it on someone else's heart. Living last doesn't mean becoming invisible. It means becoming indispensable to those who matter most. Mother Teresa spent her life with the dying, the forgotten, the unwanted. She never asked for fame, but became a global icon of mercy. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, a humble German pastor, resisted the Nazi regime with theology and truth, choosing prison over compromise. Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers, a quiet man in a cardigan, transformed millions of children with gentle wisdom. None chased power. All changed the world. For those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. Matthew 23 verse 12. This wasn't a threat. It was a promise. God sees the quiet worker. The unseen prayer. The faithful parent. The honest janitor. The patient teacher. You don't need a platform to be great. You need a towel and a basin. Let others go first. In lines. In conversation. In decision-making. Do what no one wants to do. Serve when no one's watching. Encourage those who never get thanked. Resist the urge to prove yourself. God already sees you. Celebrate others' success, even if you're still waiting for yours. You will feel forgotten at times. But heaven does not forget. Ask yourself, where am I trying to be first, out of fear, pride, or comparison? Then ask, how can I serve there instead? Jesus didn't just teach this principle, he lived it. Born in a stable. Rode a donkey, not a war horse. Died a criminal's death. Though he was innocent. And because he became last. God exalted him to the highest place. Philippians 2 verse 9, when you follow him into the valley of humility, he will lift you to a place no spotlight can reach. Poor in spirit to the modern ear, that sounds like weakness. Low self-esteem. Broken confidence. Loss of identity. But Jesus wasn't insulting people. He was inviting them. He was saying, you who know you can't do this alone, heaven is yours. It doesn't mean being spiritually empty. It means being spiritually aware that we are needy, dependent, and limited. It's the opposite of pride. It's the foundation of faith. Being poor in spirit means, you know you don't have all the answers. You recognize your need for God. You stop pretending that you're enough without help. It's not spiritual self-hatred. It's spiritual honesty. In Matthew 5, Jesus opens his most famous sermon, the Sermon on the Mount, with this line. He didn't say, blessed are the talented. Blessed are the rich. Blessed are the religious. No. He started with those who feel bankrupt inside. Because grace can only enter empty hands. The proud resist it. But the poor in spirit receive it. Thomas was a successful motivational speaker. Best-selling author. Corporate coach. He preached self-belief, hustle, and inner power. Until his wife left. His father died. And he was diagnosed with cancer. His voice dried up. His strength crumbled. In a hospice chapel, alone, he prayed for the first time in 20 years, God. I don't know how to stand. I thought I had it all. But I'm empty. That prayer was poor in spirit. And it changed everything. He recovered slowly. And today, he opens every talk with, before I had answers. Now I have dependency. And that is enough. Humility, you stop comparing. You stop performing. You start resting. Teachability, you become open to growth, correction, and wisdom. Compassion, you relate more to the broken, because you've been there. Peace, you no longer need to pretend. Masks fall. Souls breathe. In Luke 18, Jesus tells the story of two men praying. A Pharisee says, "Thank God I'm not like that sinner." The sinner says, "God, be merciful to me, a sinner." Guess who went home forgiven? Not the proud. The one poor in spirit. Anna was a drug addict for 12 years. She burned every bridge, hurt every person, lost everything. In a shelter, cold and high, she muttered, "Jesus, if you're real. I don't deserve anything. But I need you." No choir. No thunder. But something shifted. She felt peace, quiet, real, warm. She's now 5 years sober. Working as a counselor for women in recovery. She says, I found him, in the ashes. He didn't ask me to rise. He asked me to let him lift me. Because we love strength. We love winners. Confidence. Boldness. We hate admitting we're wrong. Asking for help. Saying, I can't. But Jesus says, that's exactly where heaven begins. He's not asking us to stay broken. He's asking us to start there. Do you ever feel like you're faking it spiritually? You're tired of pretending. You believe, but you feel hollow. Good. Not because emptiness is fun. But because now, you're ready to be filled. 3 simple words. Not elegant. Not deep. Not religious. Just, help me. That is the prayer of the poor in spirit. And it moves heaven. Maybe you've been trying to earn your way to God. Maybe you've been trying to fix yourself first. Jesus says, come broken. Come small. Come real. Because the kingdom isn't built for the impressive. It's built for the dependent. Begin your day with, God, I need you today. Admit when you're wrong, quickly and honestly. Spend time with people who remind you of your humanity. Pray without performance. Just talk to your Father. Let grace surprise you again. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Not will be. Is. Right now. Today. Heaven belongs to those who know they need it most. So if you're empty, congratulations. You're exactly where Jesus can begin. Worry is invisible, but it's one of the strongest cages known to man. It doesn't chain your body, it chains your mind. Your peace. Your sleep. Your ability to enjoy what's already in your hands. Jesus knew this. That's why in the middle of the greatest sermon ever preached, he stopped and said, don't worry about your life. He wasn't ignoring our pain. He was pointing to a better way to carry it. The crowd listening to him that day wasn't made up of kings and scholars. They were farmers. Widows. Laborers. People worried about food, water, safety, just like us. So he asked them, can any one of you by worrying add a single hour to your life that's not a command? It's a challenge to the heart. Worry comes from 2 roots, fear of the unknown, desire to control the uncontrollable, but here's the cost of worry, it robs the present. It paralyzes faith. It overestimates your problems and underestimates your God. It prepares you for a future that may never happen. As Corrie ten Boom once said, worry doesn't empty tomorrow of its sorrow. It empties today of its strength. Maria was a single mom with 2 kids, working 2 jobs. One morning, her paycheck was delayed. Her fridge was empty. Her bus pass expired. In panic, she dropped to her knees and cried, God. I don't even have enough for a bus. That same hour, her neighbor knocked on the door. Hey, I found an extra bus card in my drawer. I don't know why, but I felt I should give it to you. Maria cried again, but this time, in worship. That day, her kids ate. That week, her rent was covered by a church offering she didn't know was coming. God wasn't late. He was present. Jesus used 2 simple examples to teach something profound. Birds, they don't stress. They don't store. Yet God feeds them. Lilies, they don't labor. But Solomon in all his glory wasn't dressed like them. Then he asked, are you not much more valuable than they? Worry says, I'm alone. Faith says, I'm seen. And I matter. Important distinction, Jesus didn't say, don't plan. He said, don't worry. There's a difference. Planning worrying acts in wisdom reacts in fear prepares for possibilities obsessively controls outcomes trusts God with the process tries to manage every outcome Jesus encouraged wise living, not fearful striving. Let's be honest, anxiety isn't just a spiritual issue. It's also physical, emotional, and psychological. But that's the beauty of Jesus' teaching, he doesn't say, don't feel anxious. He says, bring your anxiousness to me. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11 verse 28. That's not denial. That's divine invitation. If you live in constant worry, about money, about health, about your children, about your future, about your past, then hear this, Jesus is not telling you to pretend everything's fine. He's saying, trust that I'll be there when you get there. Jesus says, each day has enough trouble of its own. That's not pessimism. That's permission to live one day at a time. Laugh today. Love today. Rest today. Forgive today. Do what you can, and leave tomorrow to God. This is not laziness. It's surrender. Before checking the news. Before reading the messages. Before the calendar screams at you, start with, God, I don't know what today holds. But I know you hold me. Help me walk today, not tomorrow. Let that be enough. It might. But when it does, you won't be alone. Because he promised. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Hebrews 13 verse 5. God is not just the God of eternity. He is the God of the next 24 hours. Write down what's in your control and what's not. Release the rest. Spend 5 minutes in silence each morning, breathe in God's peace. Replace what if with even if. God will. Talk to someone, worry loses power when shared. Imagine your life is a long road at night. You can only see as far as your headlights reach. But that's enough to keep driving. Peter came to Jesus and asked, that's what Lord, Jesus meant. How many times shall I forgive my brother or sister who sins against me? Tomorrow will light up to 7 times 7 was a generous number in Peter's day. Jesus looked at him and said, I tell you, not 7 times, but 70 times 7. 490 times no. Jesus wasn't giving a number. He was breaking the calculator. He meant, don't count. Just forgive. Again. And again. Because when someone wounds us, we want justice. We want to be heard. We want them to feel what we felt. But here's the twist, unforgiveness doesn't imprison them. It imprisons you. It keeps you, replaying the pain, carrying bitterness, poisoning your peace. Jesus didn't command forgiveness to protect your offender. He did it to free you. Right after this teaching, Jesus told a parable, a king forgives a servant a massive debt, millions of dollars. That same servant finds another man who owes him just a few dollars, and has him thrown into prison. When the king finds out, he's furious. Shouldn't you have had mercy, just as I had on you? Jesus' point is clear, we have been forgiven so much, how can we not forgive others? Let's be clear, crossmark forgiveness is not forgetting. Crossmark it's not saying what happened was okay. Crossmark it's not always reconciliation. Crossmark it's not weakness. Forgiveness means, white heavy checkmark you release the right to punish. White heavy checkmark you let go of your grip on hate. White heavy checkmark you stop drinking the poison expecting them to suffer. In South Africa, during the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, a woman stood in court. Her son had been murdered by a policeman during apartheid. When asked what justice looked like, she replied, I want him to come to my house once a month and eat dinner with me. So I can love him like a son. The courtroom fell silent. The officer wept. That night, 2 lives were saved, the killer's, and hers. Bitterness grows. Like mold in a dark room. It starts small, a sharp comment. A memory that stings. A moment of, they don't deserve my kindness. But over time, it infects everything. See to it, that no bitter root grows up to cause trouble and defile many. Hebrews 12 verse 15. Unforgiveness spreads. It won't stop at them. It will poison you. Forgiveness doesn't mean you stay in abuse. You can forgive and create distance. You can release anger and protect yourself. Forgiveness is not staying silent about evil. It's saying, you no longer control my heart. If anyone had a right not to forgive, it was Jesus. He was betrayed, beaten, mocked, murdered. And what did he say? Father, forgive them. They do not know what they are doing. Luke 23 verse 34. He prayed for his killers. That wasn't just divine, it was revolutionary. And it's the same mercy he now asks us to extend. Imagine, no more waking up with anger. No more holding conversations in your head. No more letting them live rent-free in your soul. Forgiveness is your jailbreak. And the key is already in your hand. Acknowledge the pain, name what happened. Feel it honestly. Decide to release. Forgiveness is not a feeling. It's a decision. Pray for them, you don't have to feel it. Start with honesty. Repeat as needed, wounds reopen. Keep forgiving. Speak it aloud, I choose to forgive ______. There is power in words. Forgiveness is a process. And Jesus is patient as you walk it. Most won't. Some never will. But their repentance is not a condition for your healing. Jesus forgave before we ever asked. He leads us to do the same. Jesus said, "Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy." Matthew 5 verse 7. When you forgive, you heal yourself, honor God, break the cycle of pain. There is someone in your life who needs your forgiveness. Not because they're good, but because you want to be free. Who is it, and when will you let go? Remember, forgiveness sets two prisoners free. One of them is you.